about kind of how your tight ends have performed so far in camp?
So far I've been pleased with where we are. I think that we got a long way to go still. Our role in the offense is a little bit different than it has been in the past. And those guys are working each and every day to get better, get a good grasp on not just the run game but the passing game as well.
But the young guys behind Lutz, have they made the kind of progress you would hope?
You know what? My expectations of them are always better than what theirs probably actually is. I know they all want to start and this, that, and the other, but to go along with that, it comes, you got to be able to take great steps in the run game. You got to be able to run effective routes, be able to separate versus press man. There's a lot of things that go along with, what they expect in terms of, hey, I want to play, I want to be, the other tight end. And they're not where they need to be in that regard yet, but they are getting better. They have gotten better. They're very smart. That's the one thing that I did notice coming out of from the spring to the summer, now to fall camp. They're very intelligent and they're doing a good job of understanding our offense and knowing where to line up and so forth and so on.
Are there questions of Ricky Parks?
I've been pleased with the freshman. I really have. I like his physicality. I think that he's got tremendous hands. Kind of, he reminds me of Lutz in that way. He's got soft hands, and I expect big things out of him. I'm hoping that he can break his way into the lineup. I'm hoping that through competition, he's going to push the other guys that are in front of him, and maybe push them for playing time. If not, take over. That's the thing that we have in the room now. We have competition from all positions, and really it's all over our football team. It's going to make us better in the long run when you got guys like Ricky Parks, CJ Uzuma, Brandon Fost, all pushing each other for playing time. And then obviously it's making Lutz better too, because if he's not doing what we need him to do at a certain position on a certain play, there could be a young guy that can come in and take reps away from him as well. So it's making us all better, and I've been very pleased with him so far.
Have you gotten any idea yet of who you're looking at on special teams to play on?
Of course. At this time of the year, I've got a really good idea of some guys I've targeted. I want to see if they can put it together after I start paying a little bit more closer attention now that I see the guys have kind of separated themselves from the other freshmen. And, it's always interesting for me. And of course, I can't tell you guys, but it's always interesting for me, to see if who I identify translates over to, who the offense and defense identifies as potential players. And sometimes it doesn't always, but a lot of times it does, And some guys might just end up being great special teams players because they're just great effort guys. But some guys might actually have the ability to do something phenomenal on offense or defensive side of the ball. So I got a core group of guys that I've identified, and I'm starting to see those guys, make their way into offense and defense as well too, and push some of our older guys for playing time as well. And by this next scrimmage, I'm going to really zero in on those guys and try to get them ready to go for Clemson.
Can you talk about what the difference the new kickoff rule is going to make?
Well, the new kickoff rule for everybody, for us, having a kicker like we have in Cody Parkey, a guy that led the country in touchback percentages last year from the 30-yard line. Obviously, he's got a strong enough leg to get it out from the 35. So, for us, having a touchback, it's not going to be very hard for us to kick it through the back of the end zone. We got a guy that I know that can definitely get it there. The challenge is now, over the last, since they moved up a touchback, from the 20-yard line to the 25, that's where the change is going to come into play, for us. Because before we were trying to kick touchbacks, we wanted touchbacks. Everybody wanted a touchback. You get a touchback, you put the team on the 20, their chances for scoring go down. Well, through this new rule, they just increased the chances of scoring by moving them up 5 more yards. So the percentages for them scoring, from the 25 is much greater than from the 20, just statistically, and that's been proven. You go in our team room. We have a board up there, and it's a big field. You guys have all seen it, and you know, it's 3% from this position. It's 3% scoring or touchdowns and so forth and so on all the way down the field. Well, now that the touchbacks go out to the 25-yard line, the last 2 years for us, with the ball being on the 30, we've averaged, our average starting point after a kickoff has been the 22.5-yard line and the 22. So now you're saying every time I put the ball in the end zone, I'm going to give up 3 yards or 2.5 yards. Couple that with the fact that now I'm 5 yards closer. And so that team that used to be able to get, for example, in 2010, where we had like some, insane number of 27 or maybe it was like 32 tackles inside the 20-yard line, you're saying I'm going to concede that every single time, and now my guys are 5 yards closer. So I think the intent was to encourage people to down the ball when it is in the end zone, but what about when it's not in the end zone? What are you going to do? You can't down it right there, so you're going to have more returns. So teams might be more prone, since they're a little bit closer, to drop that ball inside the field of play and allow or try to make a stop inside the 20-yard line, which is, like I said, we led the SEC in that in 2010. That was the one big thing I think that set our team apart. We gave our defense a long field. And, in the national championship game, we had 4 of them or 3 of them or something ridiculous like that. So Oregon had to go the length of the field. So, now you're saying that, I don't have an opportunity for that, but I do if I tell my kicker to kick it differently. So it'll be interesting to see what everybody's approach is. For us, we might do a little bit of both. We'll see. But it all depends on what our capabilities are at the kicker position.
The intent of that rule is certainly player safety, but with maybe enticing more teams to sky kick it, instead of touching the back, putting it in play more, that maybe increase the chances of player injury?
I believe it's going to increase the chance of player injury. I believe it's going to put the ball in the field of play. Now, I don't know what everybody's going to do, but I think if they know what they're doing in kickoff coverage, which, I think most people do, I think it might increase the chance because now you moved us up 5 yards closer, so you made it easier for us to cover. And if we're able to do it, if they're able to drop the ball in the field of play, people are going to be more prone to return that ball. It used to be on the 35-yard line. When I first started being a special teams coordinator, and the average return was only like, I led the country in the Mountain West Conference. I have no idea what it was in across the country, but, we averaged about 23, 24 yards, and that was, good for best in the Mountain West Conference one year. Now you're saying that, 23, 24 yards. That means they drop it on the goal line. You're still not conceding the 25-yard line. And that's still a pretty good return. It's harder to return the ball when they're 5 yards closer. So, I think the kickoff return numbers are going to actually go down, and the opportunities for more collisions are probably going to go up because people are closer and they're going to still be running down there.
Coach, I kind of jumped in. I'm not sure if you were asked this, but with the addition of Jay Prosh, how has Lutz's role expanded for the offense?
Jay Prosh, has added an additional dimension to our offense. This is a new offense, so it's not the same offense that Lutz played in last year. This is more of a quote-unquote pro-style offense, and Lutz's role is more along the lines of what most tight ends in the NFL have to do now. They have to be both. He has to be a fullback. He has to be a tight end. He has to be a backside tight end. He has to be a wideout, and that's his role. It has expanded to being more versatile, and I think that's more suited for his capabilities and his skill level. And hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of that some this year.
But back to the percentage moving into the 25. Is it really that much difference? Is there really that much difference between the 25 and the 20 in terms of scoring?
Well, if you look at being inside the 20-yard line
right.
as opposed to being outside the 20-yard line, it's all a percentage game. Everything is all about field position. I tell our guys, for example, the Mississippi State game last year, where we generally don't give up very many yards on a punt return. The last punt return of that game was returned 22 yards. Well, that drive ended on the 1 yard line. Had we stopped that guy what we averaged, which was like 6 or 7 yards, then that guy would have had no chance of getting down there. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have been ended on the 1 yard line. So this whole game is about field position. And